So, if you've been wondering how best you can connect with your avoidant family member, your friend, or even a partner, this video is going to tremendously help you. This is because, of course, I am a guru at psychology and psychotherapy, but also, most importantly, because I am a recovering avoidant. So, I understand the psychology of how exactly avoidants think, how their brain operates, and why they do what they do. So I'm going to explain to you in this video so that you can understand and hopefully form a healthy relationship with them instead of just brutally cutting off people that you do not understand. Because here's the thing that we all need to acknowledge. Nobody is 100% securely attached. As much as we may all be healthy human beings to some degree, we also have very unhealthy traits in us. So some of us lean more towards the anxiously attached spectrum, and then others lean more towards the avoidant attached spectrum. So, if you've noticed that maybe you can't relate to the avoidant, that's okay. I'll explain in this video why they do what they do and how that attachment style develops so that you can also have empathy and understanding for any avoidant person that you have a relationship with. Yeah. So, how does it start? That attachment style. Okay, maybe to just to help those that might not know the symptoms of an avoidantly attached person. So, avoidantly attached people are extremely independent. They value independence and autonomy to the point that they are willing to sever relationships that threaten independence. So, they have a desire for intimacy, but they're also very afraid of connecting with people. So, they're also very afraid of conflict. For reasons that I will also explain in this video. And instead of addressing matters directly, usually they kind of sweep things under the rug, which makes life more frustrating because it's like, yeah, but this is not addressed. So they can be, yeah, difficult to deal with at times. And I do apologize on behalf of all avoidants. I apologize. I have a flu, guys. I do hope that you can still hear me. But yeah, in general, they take the avoidant approach to life, just as the name suggests, avoidant. So instead of facing the real issue, they find the coping mechanisms to work around problems which do not work. That's why they're called coping mechanisms or negative coping mechanisms. So, for instance, instead of facing their need for intimacy, what they will do, they will bury that desire or that emotion that tells them that you need to connect with others. They'll convince themselves that I'm fine. I can be by myself. I can do this by myself. And because of that self-sabotaging belief, they end up sabotaging their own relationships because they don't usually admit to their needs. And there are reasons why they do that, right? Let me explain why we do what we do. Guys, I've changed, I've evolved. I just want to relate to my fellow avoidants because I know the struggle is real. So this is why avoidants act the way they do. Okay, you need to understand where they came from. When they were young, they experienced extreme neglect. So it might have been emotional, it might have been physical, and as a result of multiple instances of being dismissed, they learned not to trust people. So that's where the trust issue comes from. That no matter how much you might show up in their life, they might still feel like, I can't trust anyone. So they learned that, oh, okay, the person that is supposed to look after me in this world is not there. And if this person can do this to me, what more everyone else? So that is what kills their desire to try to put effort to connect with others, because that belief is ingrained in our cute heads that if your mama did this to you or your papa did this to you, then surely anyone else is capable of doing this to you. So naturally, they start to believe that people don't have that desire to connect with them, or they just convince themselves that people don't want to connect with them, or and then they just bury that desire, right? But all of that is grounded on an inaccurate and perception of reality or an overgeneralization of the situation. So just because your mom and dad might have treated you that way doesn't mean that everyone else that you're going to meet in life is going to treat you that way. But unfortunately for avoidance, that's their default way of thinking. The assumption is that everyone that I'm going to meet is going to let me down. So I need to secure my own life. I need to have my own security. I need to be self-reliant. I need my own space. I need to make sure that when you leave, my world is not going to fall apart. So they're always preparing for that day when something bad happens. So this is bad because then it ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy because they push away people by assuming all those unhealthy things about people. So avoidance. Oh, guys, I know the struggle is real, but you need to also listen. Avoidance. You need to understand that life is not that black and white. Not everyone is going to treat you the same way that people in your past treated you. So you need to allow people to prove themselves through their actions and judge people based on their actions rather than your assumptions of what you think life is or how people are. Okay? Okay. Now that you understand where that attachment style develops, that hyper independence comes from that way of life. They developed that coping mechanism as a way to survive. They got so accustomed to it to the point that anything different now feels uncomfortable, even though like relationships and being interdependent is good and what they want. That's very uncomfortable and unfamiliar. So once they have it, it really like feels very uncomfortable, even though they want it, but it's like it's not comfortable. Okay, so that's where the friction comes from, where you're like, yeah, but like, don't you want this? Why are you acting this way then? I'll give you guys an example. Let's say a bird, has been in a cage for many years. Initially, it might want to fly away immediately, but once it stays in that cage for a long time, that bird will become accustomed to that environment. And even if you open the door of the cage, that bird might just want to stay in the cage and not leave it because that's what it's used to. It might even convince itself that I'm not a bird. I don't fly. So that's where also the identity crisis with avoidance come from, because they believe so much that they can't maintain relationships, they can't give you what you want. But that identity crisis and negative beliefs that are limiting come from the fact that they've become so accustomed to this life that they can't see any other different way of living. But just because that's what you believe doesn't mean that it's true. If the bird believes it's not a bird, it can't fly, it doesn't mean it's true. It just means you're so used to this cage. Now it just means that you need to allow yourself to train to fly, to allow yourself to step out of the norm, what you are used to. And that's where the thrill is, that's where the adventure, what you're looking for, that connection, that fulfilling life. It's outside you operating out of your coping mechanisms, avoidance. Okay, so in order for us to step into that zone, though, there's a lot of support that avoidance need. So they don't need criticism, they don't need you to judge them, to say, oh, why you can fly, why can't you do that? We don't need that. That will just make us shut you down, like, yeah, I want to hear this person, I will see them again. So what avoidance need is support. Don't criticize us because we already feel bad for not flying all this time when we know that like I'm supposed to be flying, right, with the others. Yeah, so the last thing we want is someone coming and pointing to us and being like, why don't you do this? No, 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 no. So the best thing you can do for an avoidant is to be very empathetic and supportive, non-judgmental, and slowly, once you build that trust with them, you'll start to see that when they feel safe with you, they actually become very clingy, very like sweet. They want you all the time, maybe not all the time, but like they still value their independence. So you do need to respect their autonomy and personal space, because they will feel suffocated if you're always in their face. We so afraid of losing our individuality. So when you are in a relationship with us, try not to silence us, try not to turn us into you. We want to be who we are. So once a relationship feels like I'm losing myself, that's when avoidance also start to like retract again. So that's that, yeah. And I remember, I'll give you guys an example of what happened with a friend of mine. So that's one thing that can really work if you're struggling with avoidance. So you need to share. You need to tell avoidance how you feel and what you want. If you don't tell us how you feel and what you want from us, we're just going to assume that we blanket people, which is bad. But that's what avoidance do. They just categorize everyone like, okay, everyone doesn't want this. So I went with my friend to a party. She seemed like she was having a good time and dancing and all, but I wasn't having a good time. So when we went to that dinner, I was just like, nah, I want to go home. I'm not having a good time. I'm not going to sit around here and pretend like I'm having a good time. So I'm going to leave. So I did tell her that, and she was so surprised that I was going to leave her. But for me, it was like, no, no, I don't want you to like lose out on having fun because of me. Stay, like have fun. And then for her, she actually felt hurt because she wanted to be with me. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you'd be willing to leave with me. And I knew how she felt because she told me. But if she didn't tell me how she felt, then I was just gonna assume that okay, yeah, this works for you. So if you wanna like forge meaningful connections with avoidance, make sure that you express exactly how you feel. Tell us exactly how you want to be loved, and then we will slowly transition into doing that. But we also don't want you to force us into doing things. We want to do it out of our own will. So once you tell us what you want, don't now expect like instant results, like you must do this because I told you what you want. We want it to be natural. So like give it time, and then you see that slowly we'll start to give you what you want as well. But we'll also be checking to see like, hey, is this am I not being neglected in this process as well? So it's important to just form also like very balanced relationships so that when you want something from avoidance, it is very clear that you are also like putting in your effort and value into that relationship as well. So I hope this video helps. You can build the sweetest relationships with avoidance. You just need to be patient and communicate honestly. So they are used to stuffing emotions, they're used to stuffing how they feel. Don't do that. You'd rather find a loving way to communicate it. And through your actions, because we can be very objective as avoidance, through your actions, we'll start to slowly trust you that, oh, okay, I see you are consistent. So maybe you worth a shot. So, yeah, that's that. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you think, guys. If you want another video about the anxiously attached fellows, I can do that video as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I want to see you in the next video. Bye, guys.